outside.
Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, April 11th, 2023 Tyngsborough School Committee meeting. Please be reminded that these meetings are audio and video recorded. My name is Becky Stanton and I call this meeting to order. We'll start with introductions with Nate.
Hi, Nate Marino, Student Representative.
Jeff Bowe.
Dustine Puma.
Mike Woodlock, Assistant Superintendent.
By Mike Flanagan, Superintendent.
Anthony Tenerello.
Brian McMahon.
Danielle Athanas.
Rob Mullen.
Good evening, Joe Messina, Business Administrator.
Please rise for a pledge of allegiance. I'll seek a motion to approve the March 28th, 2023 school committee meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Abstain. That carries 601. Citizen time? Seeing none? We'll move on to correspondence. Dr. Flanagan?
Madam Chair, just so the committee is aware, the TPS end-of-year celebration events calendar is in your drive. As always, we encourage you to attend as many events as you possibly can. It's a great opportunity to celebrate our kids and really see what Tyngsborough Public Schools are all about. So that's available for you in your drive.
Right, and personnel, there's none at this time. Share the success. Nate?
Yes, sorry, just making the last minute. At the elementary school, they're excited to host their second annual Science, Art, and Pasta Dinner Night on Thursday, May 11th. A special thank you to Mrs. Maraca for overseeing the Science Expo again this year. The 4th and 5th graders have been working hard on their projects. With the help of parent volunteers, Mrs. Anderson, TES art teacher, will transform the main lobby and halls of TES with student artwork. There will be over 800 art pieces, which I thought was a really impressive number, which is going to definitely be cool to see. And then finally, the elementary school has partnered with Maeve's Kitchen for their annual pasta dinner. Please refer to Mrs. Cavanagh's email for any details you were looking into on that. And then they look forward to seeing everyone on this night. They're very excited for that. Right now, the middle school 8th graders are on their annual Washington, D.C. trip. My sister's down there. I've been getting a lot of pictures from her. It looks like they're having a great time. And then 6th graders yesterday took a visit to Nature's Classroom. They did all the outdoor activities, and they were focused on collaboration and leadership. My brother went on that trip, so we got a lot of pictures from that as well, from seeing all this stuff firsthand. So, and then MCAS will continue with 6th and 7th graders taking the exam this week. And then obviously we have a bunch of middle schools in the room to talk more about the middle school later. So at THS, seniors will be meeting later this week to outline their end-of-year events, including prom, senior awards, and graduation. Congratulations and good luck to Ahmed Arabi, who received the top seed for the Esports State Chess Championship Tournament. So that's awesome. Good job to him, and good luck. Spring sports are underway, so good luck to all the teams this season. Congratulations to April students of the month, Sydney Hannes, Luke McHugh, Samantha Puma, and Jenna Tumpney. And also, just to let everyone know, the Tyngsborough Scholarship Trust April door-to-door drive is going on right now until April 30th. All donations support the class of 2023 scholarships, so thank you for everyone for your generosity helping out with that. And then just a reminder, tomorrow will be a half day, and next week is April break, so that's it.
Thanks, Nate. I'll seek a motion to take item 9C out of order.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? That carries 700. Mr. Hook and middle school group, you're up.
We'd like to thank you for allowing us to share a little of what goes inside the walls of TMS. Tonight, I have the distinct pleasure of being accompanied by a dedicated and hard-working group of students who have worked to create a wonderful climate and culture within our building. So without further ado, I will let them tell you about what they do.
Hi, I'm Brooke Rubito. In Student Council here at TMS, we try and create a fun environment for everyone by having all different types of activities. Today we will show you some things we do here at our school. For example, Student Leadership Conference, snack sales, Halloween dress-up days, Spirit Weeks, March Madness, Winterfest, Earth Day cleanups, Field Day, and more.
Hi, I'm Chloe. In November, we went to the Student Leadership Conference, also known as NELMS. It was at Southern New Hampshire University. From 45 different schools and around 140 students, we learned how to be a role model for our classmates, but also give some room for other people to be the leader too. While we were there, we worked on group activities and also listened to speeches from several different speakers. They talked about the different leadership skills and making a positive impact. Nelms related leadership to a wave. A quote they use frequently is little ripples can start big waves. The main takeaway from this conference was that who we are impacts how we lead.
Hello, I'm Caleb. I want to talk about the Student Council snack and bake sales. All of the money goes to charities and other events to make Student Council more interesting. Starting off the week, we get lots of sales from everybody who wants to buy the item we're selling, which it could be candy grams or a contest. By the end of the week, we do not have many sales because a lot of the people have already purchased their item that we are selling in the beginning of the week.
Hello, my name is Christian Palumbo. We will be talking about Spirit Weeks. Spirit Weeks is a way that we can so you can support our school and have fun with the way you dress.
I'm Jared Flood. I'm doing March Madness. In March, we do a basketball and dodgeball tournament. All the different teams get to pick a theme that everyone on the team gets dresses like. Winners of the dodgeball tournament get to play the teachers. And of course, Christian Palumbo's team won this year.
I'm Ella, and I'm going to speak about Winterfest. Winterfest is now an annual event where we build cardboard sleds and compete to see who has the best design and who can travel the furthest. It is a great way to promote teamwork in our school. Here are some photos from this year's Winterfest.
I'm Sydney Boyatzaglu. Earth Day is on April 22nd, and because we are usually not in school, we choose another day to help clean up the community. Here are some photos from around the town where we helped pick up trash last year.
I'm Morgan Manning. My topic is Field Day. Field Day is one of the most fun days we have. Student Council and the teachers work together to set up Field Day. During Field Day, we have a bunch of activities. Last year, we had water activities, cornhole, kickball, and more. During Field Day, Student Council sells a ton of snacks and drinks, and you can buy them when you are at a certain activity. The field day activities are for fun, but they also help you work on teamwork because during some situations you are all working together.
You would think that middle schoolers wouldn't want to dress up, but we always enjoy getting to wear our costumes to school. Not only is it fun, but Student Council also makes a profit for future activities by charging $1 to everyone who wears a costume. We have been involved in Student Council for 2 years, and it has been great to work with Miss Slattery and Mr. Holgate to create fun activities for our school and give us things to look forward to throughout the year. We feel Student Council is so important to make sure our school is not just about academics, but it keeps us excited about each coming day. Thank you, and does anybody have any questions?
Well, thank you all. This was a great presentation. It's good to see your faces, good to hear from you, and you all did a wonderful job presenting to us. I know it's really it can be difficult, but you did a fantastic job. I know Mr. McMahon is like chomping at the bit here to ask some questions.
Oh, I always have questions. And to her point, you did a great job, even you, Jared. So I guess my question first is, what's your favorite part of being on the student council?
We get an opinion on what we get to do in our school. Like, if we have friends that aren't in student council and that they have an opinion, so it gives us many ideas for what we have to do to make the school like a better place for everybody.
Yeah, we get to help choose what Spirit Week days are, and it's fun to get a say and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. We kind of help out what happens with the school in all events that we do during, say if we're if we have 2 decisions, we will compromise and have one event that happens as a whole group.
Yeah, and you also you get to work on more things because in student council it's more about teamwork and all working together and making decisions. So going on the NELS trip. Going on the NELS trip would really show that, and it's good to have that experience.
Yeah, I love being able to help plan events and be able to participate in things like the Earth Day cleanup and planning Winterfest and stuff like that.
So while Mr. Paula is down in DC, have you guys decided to vote to put him in a dunk tank for field day? I think that'd be a great idea.
Should.
I second
We
that.
should.
And I think that means Ryan's offering as well.
I'll get the dunk tank for you.
Any other questions from the committee?
Is there something you haven't been able to do that you want to do that we could help you with?
Not that I can think of.
Not anything that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, I
But
think
we're
we
here
get
to
a
help
lot
you,
of
so
good
if you-
opportunities.
Excuse me?
I said I think we get a lot of good opportunities to do things.
But if there is anything you need, we're here to help you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job tonight. There's one thing I'm noticing is we're starting to see some of the same students involved in multiple different activities. So I think that's really good too. You know, a lot of you guys are involved with many different things across the school. So, you know, keep up the good work and thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
Madam
us.
Chair, if I could just make one final comment. I think, Nate, if I'm correct, you sat in that seat about 4 years ago, right?
Yep.
So as we think about, the themes that came out tonight, I heard leadership, I heard teamwork, student voice, which is critical, community. Those are all core concepts that we fundamentally believe in. I think having the exposure to that is unbelievable and is going to serve you well in the long run. And my guess is, in 4 years, we're probably going to see one of you sitting in that seat right down there. Because if you get involved early and you really enjoy it, you want to continue that. And I think the momentum starts at the middle school. And how many were involved in student council at the elementary school? Yeah. So you got the bug a little bit, and you got a taste of it, so I think that's great. So keep being involved in the school. It's so critical and so important, especially that student voice component. So my last question, did he make you say that he won?
No, I was on his team.
All right, fair enough. So, great job
Great.
tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
I would though. I would have.
You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you want, but nobody ever wants to.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
All right, moving on to unfinished business, the superintendent report and the MSBA update in teaching and learning. You guys have a hard show to
I know.
follow here.
We should put them after us. So just a reminder of this upcoming school committee calendar. Our next meeting is April 25th. We will have the Tyngsborough Elementary School Student Council come to that meeting. Always fun to have the students here. May 2nd is the annual town meeting. May 16th is Election Day in town, and then we meet again on May 23rd. June 13th, as a reminder, per the new school committee policy, will be your reorganization meeting. We moved the language, or we changed the language so it happens after graduation. So that's will be the reorg meeting on June 13th. So that being said, we'll move ahead to the MSBA update. April 5th, the school building committee met. And at that meeting, there were a couple of important items that we discussed. First of all, the submission to the MSBA with the 60% design development had to be in by Friday, April 7th. So we met on April 5th as a school building committee to approve the final design development and have that sent off to MSBA. As you know, I think the left field, the project team was here in January, and they talked at the time about a potential $2.5 million overage. Also at our last meeting, we talked about the recent 60% cost estimation. Basically, the estimators came within 1% of each other, and the estimators are from left field, ROPM, and Fontaine Brothers, the CM at risk. And they estimated the whole project, and at the time, they were within 1%, and right now, we're projecting a $4.1 million overage. And this does not include the Drake water supply issue that we're dealing with, the connection fee of almost $500,000. So I know that's being worked on by the Board of Selectmen and the town manager, but we are potentially looking at a $4.1 million overage. We believe that is a continuation of the escalation that we've already seen. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. The next large bid approval. So right now, at this point, we've bid out approximately 30% of the project. The next large bid approval will happen in July, and that'll be another 35%. So we'll be at about 65% bid out by July 2023. we'll have a better sense at that time as to where we are. We'll be 95% bid out by September. So when September comes, we'll have a 95% surety of what the cost of the project will be, so that when we go to October town meeting, we can seek approval. We're not seeking to borrow more money, we're seeking approval to up the borrowing limit. It's not we're asking for money, it's to up the borrowing capacity for the town. That being said, there were early indicators also presented at our April 5th meeting from Chad Bergeron from Fontaine Brothers, that the market's stabilizing and the numbers are normalizing, and the number of bids that we're seeing for this project are much higher than local projects that are a year older than us. So that's a good sign. So we're starting to see that trend. 3 big items that came in, 4, steel, concrete, earthwork, and elevator, at the last opening were $1.3 million under budget. So we're still carrying the escalation of that bid, and they came in $1.3 million under budget. That 1.3 is already factored into the 4.1, but it's a good sign that things are starting to stabilize. So it's a marathon. We're not going to panic. We're going to see where we come in July, and then we'll see again where we are in September. But it's a good sign right now in terms of the number of bids and where things are starting to come in at this time. So hopefully, you know, again, the increased escalation is already built into that overage right now in those estimators. So that's where we are as a project. I'm happy to answer any questions. Becky, Tony, if I missed anything, please jump in.
No.
But I think,
I don't know if we had explained the Drake water supply. Had we explained that the last meeting?
sorry,
Can you just touch on that?
too many meetings, I'm getting confused. So essentially, not carried in our original budget, the connection to the water line is, I'm trying to say this the correct way. We didn't anticipate any fee for this connection. Based on our interpretation of the language, based on how it's been estimated in the past, based on the entire history of our OPM, they've never seen a fee. We received a fee for this project at $480,000 from the Drake Water Supply Company. So the town manager is working through the process with Drake, but it's a $500,000 unanticipated fee. So that's also on top of the 4.1. So hopefully working some language out there to figure that out, but that was a surprise, and that's something that our project manager, David Sander from Left Field, hadn't anticipated or seen in the past. Yep.
The only thing I would like to add, Madam Chair, is that our contingency is not touched.
Correct.
So we still have $12.8 million in contingency. And we're not borrowing the entire project up front. We borrow as we need. So if we don't need that 4.1 million, because our contingency is still available, we won't borrow any of that. But it's MSBA's deal that we have the ability to borrow up to the total amount of the project. And that total amount is 83 million, but we also get the reimbursement on our 56% that we're getting reimbursed. So we'll never borrow up to that 80-something million because we're getting reimbursed as we spend. So it's kind of tricky when you put all the little pieces together, but hopefully we'll never have to borrow that money. So.
David Sandin, our project manager from Left Field, is also doing a contingency accrual chart chronology kind of explanation for the entire committee to explain the process and what that looks like. So that will be in our May meeting. So stay tuned for more information. Again, as always, if the committee would like a representative from the project team to come back, I'm sure they'd be more happy to come back at some point along the way. Maybe after that July buyout, we can get a better sense of where we are and have them come back maybe in August to kind of reintroduce that.
I think that's a good idea, and I'm not stealing your thunder if I discuss the gymnasium, am I?
No.
So as you can all see, the gymnasium came down. In there, I would encourage you to view the recording of the last building committee meeting where there was some discussion as to some findings with the demolition of the building, that they're expecting to have those same findings with the demolition of the classroom building in the future. But but it came down ahead of schedule, which is great. So from a scheduling standpoint, we're ahead of schedule, and we have something happening soon or now that could have happened in July, right?
We do. We'll go back up to one slide. Mr. Woodlock, thank you. So Phase 2 fencing is happening beginning next week. So they are, as a matter of fact, tomorrow, they're going to take all the stumps out from the trees that were cut down in January. If you recall, they came in early to take those trees out, down. They're going to build an access road. So if you look at the dark gray area on this map, that will be the entire construction zone. So that is not accessible by anyone from Tyngsborough Public Schools, effective really Monday the 17th. So they're going to work over the April vacation to readjust all the fencing. They're going to take the last third of the middle school parking lot, so you know where that loop is that parents come and drop off. They're going to take the last third of that, and that'll all be behind fence with scrim, the green scrim, and that'll be the construction site. And that's where they'll have their construction trailers. And the parking lot down here next to the generator, Nate, you probably recognize that as a high school parking lot. They're going to take that as well next week. So high school students, Mr. Ogden already knows this and will communicate this, will have to start moving into the middle school and high school parking lots. So it's exciting. This was supposed to happen in June. Again, got moved up because of the demo. The demo of the gym itself was supposed to be about three and a half weeks. It took them 2 weeks. They went through that really efficiently. So it's exciting. It's moving forward. And now they're going to build an access road just along the right side of that gray. Exactly. So that's how they'll come in. So it's progressing, and it's really exciting to see. It's kind of the MSBA update. And we just have one picture. And the other thing I want to point out in the picture is you'll notice, for those of you from the class of 2018-19, the tiger is gone. He's in shelter. He's protected right now, and he will reappear when the school is constructed. But the tiger is safe.
Should put him in your office.
So that's that. That's that update.
Great. Teaching and learning update.
All right, that's me. So I've gone through this a couple times. It was like 12 minutes, so I'm going to cut it down. I'm not going to do 12 minutes, I promise. So I'll probably just give you a summary of a lot of what you're seeing here. So one of the things that we've been focused on this April with our professional development to staff is really finding time within our class lessons and units to provide, before a summative assessment, mastery-oriented feedback to our students, but also provide students with time leading up to that where they can do some self-reflection on their own work based on the standards, the rubrics, what have you. So with that in mind, we took kind of the same tact this teaching and learning update with our building administrators. As you know, a lot of what I do here is update you on our progress on our SDI and our key actions within there. So we usually just highlight the positives, right? So one of the things we really focused on at the beginning of this school year and during our summer months and leadership time together was being a buoy, because we know that every year we get swamped with all these technical things that happen day in and day out. It's hard to get to those really important things that we set forth in the summer. They kind of get lost in the shuffle sometimes. And so that was one of our big focuses, is to be a buoy and make sure we're focusing on those adaptive challenges, not just the technical stuff that rolls in on us all the time. So this was an exercise in doing just that, making sure that our administrators are checking in and saying, where are we now? What have we done well? What do we still need to do? Because we still have time to make some serious progress here. So without further ado, I'll start with our middle school. And Mr. Pollard shared in Key Action 3.1, one of the things that he really thinks that they've done a great job, and I have to agree because I've been working with him on some of these things, is really focusing on the professional development and the targeted feedback on teacher instruction. And one of the ways that he's really done a great job about that is he's had a little flexibility with his professional development time, more so than the other two buildings. And he really tried to model great teaching by giving them a lot of voice and choice and autonomy and helping make those decisions and having some choice on how they were going to go about meeting the objectives for the professional development. So I think that's a really strong instructional leadership approach, and definitely something to congratulate them on. Key Action 2.2 actually shows up in all of these, and it kind of centers around data. And one of the things that Mr. Pollard said is he really wants to get into focusing on evaluating the win block and totality at the middle school. The 8th grade teachers kind of took it upon themselves to pilot a different type of wind block that really focused on targeting interventions and enrichments for students, and it's worked out really well. And in some of my conversations with the content leaders in the 6th and 7th grade this week, they're kind of on board to try and move that and expand that to the other 2 grades. So I think that would be great, and it was teacher-led, which is even better, with, of course, administration support. Mrs. Kavanaugh at the elementary school shared as a success in 2.2, looking at some data, and this specifically, you might notice some correlation between the two of these, but specifically with the ELA curriculum install, which has been a huge lift for the elementary school this year. One of the things that she focused on was really establishing and utilizing with fidelity the diagnostics, which are the checks, making sure that students are meeting with progress, and if they're not, being able to target individually students that need additional help. So she focused specifically on the K through 3 educators with DIBELS and grades 2 through 5 utilizing a growth measurement within the new curriculum itself. She also talked about some success in focusing on Tier 2 and Tier 3. If you remember the MTSS blueprint I put up last meeting, you know, making sure that we're meeting individual students' needs at different levels outside of the Tier 1 environment when needed. As a still need to grow, Key Action 1.2 was really about looking at some of the other school-wide diagnostic type things where we need to do interventions and things specific to things you've heard us talk about, wind block and making sure that's being used effectively, and more recently EL students and that student population and their success plans. She's worked and been meeting with Kate Wells, who's our content leader in EL, and I have no doubt they're going to make the progress that they seek here, but there's still work to be done. Last but certainly not least, at the high school, let me just shrink this a little bit so we can fit it in there. Mr. Ogden wanted to acknowledge a success that was really administrative driven but really teacher delivered, which was something that we acknowledged at the beginning of the year was we're losing a lot of instructional time by creating specific and separate exam schedules. We were seeing a lot of absenteeism, students just not showing up because they felt like there was no need to. So we really needed to look at that and say, well, are we really going to get all the hours in that we need to if this continues? So it wasn't easy for some of the teachers, but I give them a lot of credit. They rolled with it, and it was pretty successful after the end of trimester 1, end of trimester 2, smooth as silk. And so we're looking at upwards of 30 plus more instructional hours for our students at the high school this year compared to last year, with a high increase in attendance during those exam times. So the exams are still happening when they're given, they're just happening during a typical schedule. And so we have much better attendance. As a need still to do, and I know there's been progress here, but looking at the math curriculum at the high school, as you know, the math curriculum at the middle school has been revamped, and as those students move up into 9th grade next year, they're going to have different experience than our 9th graders that moved up this year and previous years. So there's a need to work on that. I met with Katie Rich this week. She's met with Kit Golan from Leslie University, who is our provider for professional development through this process at the middle school. They've met during department time with 8th grade math teachers to begin that process, but there's still scope and sequence work to be done in developing that curriculum. They have no doubt and full confidence that they can deliver it. There just needs to be a lot of work in organization and in that process that hasn't yet to be done, but it's on track. So I shortened it. I think that was about 6 minutes. So does anyone have questions?
I do. Yeah. So how much time is given to the elementary school kids from grades 2 to 5 for these assessments 3 times a year? If we're taking away assessments because of time on learning in the high school, but we're putting more assessments into the elementary school kids who have less of attention span and are, let's be real, 2 to 5th graders, is that the best use of time, I guess? Because then, of course, you have MCAS for each of those years. So it just seems like a lot of assessments on a very young age.
Mm-hmm. I can't speak specifically to the time that it takes because haven't been present during any of the delivery of the assessments, but I can tell you in doing a lot of work with districts throughout Massachusetts and around the country that formative diagnostic testing is important and essential to make sure that we're identifying any gaps that students may have so that they don't fall behind as they move up. As you know, we don't hold kids back. They don't fail second grade, third grade. They're going to move up. And if we're not identifying gaps in their learning, whether it's reading or writing or math, they're going to get left behind even though they're moving up. So these diagnostics are very common in elementary school. And so if you want more information on that, I can certainly get more information from Ms. Kavanaugh, but I can tell you this is very common practice throughout the educational community.
I'm aware it's common practice, but I also am aware that a lot of people push back on so many assessments for younger ages. That's all.
And yeah, I recognize that as well, but you know, we have a win block instituted for intervention. If we're not identifying where intervention is needed through diagnostics that are, you know, delivered efficiently and evenly across, where we can measure students against each other and against, you know, other students, whether in our own school or other districts, it makes it difficult to provide the appropriate intervention. So, yeah, it's, I see where you're coming from. It's a necessary evil sometimes, but it is something that we need to make sure that we're on top of.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Just adding assessments in one area and not the other. Just.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Whitlock?
If I could just,
Sure.
just on that comment, we haven't taken away any assessments at the high school.
Okay.
We still have trimester exams, as we always have. They just don't happen within their own specialized schedule where students take an exam and go home.
Because that's what they were doing.
That's what they were doing.
Oh, they were doing it.
Yes, I know,
Okay.
that's why
So it's a
we
good,
made an
it's a
adjustment.
good implementation, I agree with it.
So
Because
we
they are
still,
there for
we
the
haven't
whole day.
taken.
We
I
increased
just wanna make
instructional
sure.
hours. is what
Oh,
we did.
no.
We haven't
it's-
taken away
No,
those
it's-
exams.
it's
They
definitely-
do occur.
It was definitely an appropriate action considering how much they have used it. No, I agree with it. It's just, you know, they're little.
Thank you, Mr. Whitlock.
Well, so for those of us without high school students, can you just clarify, I don't understand exactly what was going on with the exam schedules and how you picked up 30 hours.
So if you think about, I don't know, everyone had different high school experiences, but I remember in high school, when we went to high school, you had exam days at the end of a semester, a quarter, whatever. And you came in and you took an exam, and you might have, you know, we might have had a full day of school, but a lot of kids didn't stay because they'd already taken an exam in a particular class, and they're not going to do anything until 3 days from now. So we said, no, we really want to move away from we're not going to do anything. You know, if we're going to have these kids the next, you know, semester, next quarter, next trimester, whatever it happens to be, there are things we can do. So we moved away from a non-traditional exam schedule, which really kind of encouraged students to just come in, take an exam, and move on. It may not have been the intent, but that's what happened. So noticing the incredible changes and fluctuations in attendance and students just not being in the building, we wanted to at least pilot something different, and it's been pretty successful.
Excellent.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Can we move on to 9B?
9A?
9A, yes, 9A.
Yes, Tyngsborough School Committee meeting schedule. So, Madam Chair, before the committee right now on the screen is a draft schedule for next year. June 13 is highlighted because that is already on your calendar, and that is our reorganization meeting. Generally in the summer, we meet once in June, once in July, once in August. I'm requesting a slight change this year, so if we could do August 1st and August 22nd, and do August 1st in lieu of the end of July meeting, based on vacation schedules for both Mr. Messina and myself, it would be beneficial for us if the committee would be willing to do that. Otherwise, the rest of the meetings line up almost identically to this year. So that would be the one caveat.
The November 28th meeting, do we typically skip that one because of?
So Thanksgiving's the week before that.
Okay, okay.
So that'll be the Tuesday after
All right,
Thanksgiving.
Sure. All right, is there, I'll entertain a motion to approve the calendar as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? That carries 700. Thank you. And then the evaluation timeline. 9B?
9B. So do you want to do a subcommittee update?
Yeah, sure. So we did meet as a subcommittee this evening for the superintendent evaluation subcommittee. We went through Dr. Flanagan's goals. He provided us an update, a very detailed update. And we are hoping to, sorry, that's a little small. I'm
Yep, I
kind
can-
of struggling with that. Thank you. That's a lot better. On the 25th, we'll vote on the superintendent evaluation timeline. And then we are planning to discuss in executive session the details of the process for evaluating Dr. Flanagan. So if there's any, take a look at the calendar. If there's any questions or concerns about the calendar, please let us know prior to the meeting on the 25th so we can reevaluate and adjust as needed.
So I don't see it on there, but I'm assuming we're doing the 360 evaluation, the peer evaluation that we typically do.
So we discussed doing that every other year. If you recall, last year it was the year 1 of 2. So give it a year, so it wouldn't be till next year for
Okay.
360.
Is there any other questions or discussions on the superintendent evaluation process?
The only thing I'll add is the committee has access to the subcommittee folder. My self-evaluation is in there, as well as data relative to communications with David Sainda. So in the subcommittee folder, superintendent eval, the April 11th subcommittee meeting, the information's there.
And I would encourage everybody to look at that even before the next meeting on the 25th. It's very detailed. It points back to the different meetings that we had where certain items were discussed in those meetings. So, I like paper. So I had printed it out, but you can see like each one of the meetings is listed out and is pointing back to each one of the goals. And then I'll pull together these slides so that we can have them in one centralized location for each of you when you go to do the actual evaluation.
So 9D, Madam Chair, this was a proposal that I've been working with the TTA on, and I appreciate their coming forth with this recommendation. And I just want to highlight it, and it's entirely the will of the committee at this point. But our current calendar right now, just to walk you through this, currently as scheduled, May 16th is a full-day PD day. That's contractual language that we have. Right now, given the number of snow days that we've used, our last day of school for students would be Tuesday, June 20th. Monday, June 19th is a federal holiday, Juneteenth. So the students would leave school on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday be off, and come back for a half day on that Tuesday, the 20th. The proposal from the TTA, which I worked with them closely on and fully support, if the committee is in favor of it, would have May 16th be an early release day for students. So students would come in, instead of coming on a half day on the 20th, they'd come a half day in May 16th, and then Friday, June 16th, would be their traditional last day of school. The half-day PD time that we lost as a district, the teachers would make up in October of 2023. So this is conceptually what they want to do. The detailed language in the MOA is also in your drive if you want to go through that as well. But we're closely with Ms. Garvin on this, and it seems to be logical to us. I think there's a sentiment in the community that they would prefer to be out on that Friday, the 16th, as opposed to having that half-day hang out there. So, again, it's entirely up to the will of the committee because this is a calendar change of which you are responsible. So, TTA supports it. I support it. Happy to answer any questions about it. I think it's good for the parents and the community.
And just a question here. This was a request that originated from the TTA?
It was.
Yes, okay. I will seek a motion to approve the change as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? That carries 7-0-0. Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, I will get a communication out to the community by week's end to notify parents of this change. I will also bring our 23-24 academic calendar to our next meeting to amend that PD time. And the only just last talking point on this, I should have mentioned earlier, we have a plan for it, it's not a huge issue. May 16th now, that early release day is a voting day. So we're not serving lunch to kids in the middle school, we've done this before, but we have limited parking now. So we're gonna have to come near the back parking lot, people will come in at the middle school to vote, and we will have a police officer or a presence there to ensure that all people that come in off the street are directed right into the cafeteria, if you could picture the side entrance. So we'll have it manned, we'll have it stationed, but that's the only caveat. And we've done it before, so we're confident we can do it again. That's all. Point of information.
Question on that?
Sure.
We've spoken with Ms. Schifris.
Not yet, I was waiting for this vote. I'll be emailing her tomorrow.
Possibly move that?
Yes. I don't think legally she can. We had this conversation because of how it is written in the bylaws. Tony, do you recall that conversation? I don't want to say for sure.
I don't remember the details of, but yes, I
I'll
don't
inquire.
believe she can do it because of our bylaws. And then there has to be a certain amount of time where the notification goes out to the residents and that kind of stuff.
So pending this approval, I was holding off reaching out to her, didn't know where the committee was going to go. Now that the committee has voted this through and it's official, I will reach out to her tomorrow and get a plan of action for this.
Possibly future ones until the new middle school opens up.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just throw one more wrench into this? No, no. If, God forbid, we should have another snow day,
Yeah, thank you.
what happens?
That's in the MOA.
Okay.
It's in the MOA. We have the language to protect us. The MOA was vetted by our school attorney. In the event we have a cancellation for snow, for weather, for power, for anything, this becomes null and void and we go back to the original calendar because the kids come back on Tuesday and Wednesday, the 20th and 21st. So this is in the event we have no more school cancellations. Thank you for clarification.
And is that last Friday a early release day or a regular release?
It'll be an early release day, the 16th.
Any other discussion points on the updated calendar? No? All right, finance, Mr. Messina.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So for signing of bills, 13 warrants were presented to the committee tonight. I do have them all back approved. And as usual, in your drive are the list of warrant numbers, accounts, and amounts. No signing of payroll tonight. We'll catch up on the April 25th meeting. And that is it for finance. Thank you.
Great. School committee discussion, Nate?
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Just thank you to our middle school students that showed up tonight. I think they did a great job with their presentation. They really put a lot of effort into that. Thank you.
Just want to thank the middle schoolers for coming out. They did a phenomenal job. They were so poised and spoke with such, confidence, and they did a great job.
Mr. Woodlock?
Good, thank you.
Mr. Messina?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Rob?
No, thank you.
Danielle?
Just echo everybody else's sentiments about the middle school students. They did a great job. I love seeing these kids come out and talk to us. It's so fun. And I love hearing their perspective on everything that's going on in the schools. It's great.
Agreed. I mean, you guys know I love having the students here. I love seeing some of the same students involved in multiple organizations. I want to give a special congratulations to Mr. Hook for stepping in for Mr. Pollitt. I think he did a great job tonight, so that was good to see. I know Nate talked about it, but my son went to Nature's Classroom yesterday. Very positive feedback. He enjoyed it. My daughter's in DC right now. Lots of pictures. I was shocked at how jam-packed that schedule is. They get a lot done in this week, so they're going to be tired when they get back. And congratulations, Dusty and Sammy, Student of the Month. That's great. So congrats to her. Thank you.
I echo all of their comments.
Yeah, just 2 points. It was great to see the confidence which the kids exude is great. I want to thank I just want to recognize and thank the town manager, the Board of Selectmen, and the Finance Committee last night. We presented our school budget to the tri-board meeting. Mr. Messina, as always, did a great job, and it went so smoothly, and I think it's just a testament to the great working relationship we have. So thank you for their support of our school budget last night.
Well, we do have a need for executive session to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health, rather than the professional competence of an individual, or to discuss the discipline or dismissal of, or complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual. We'll return from executive session only to adjourn the regular session meeting, and I will seek a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
This will require a roll call vote. Jeff?
In favor?
In favor.
In favor?
In favor.
In favor.
In favor.
In favor.
We are in executive session. Thank you.